The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution are referred to as the Reconstruction Amendments. Passed in the 5 years after the end of the Civil War, each amendment addressed specific issues regarding slavery, citizenship, and suffrage. Now, as we know, Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation freed slaves only in the states in rebellion that were under federal control. In order to make sure that slavery was permanently eliminated throughout the United States, including border states with slavery such as Kentucky, Congress passed the 13th Amendment in 1865. The 13th Amendment assured that all slaves were declared free. The amendment used both the terms slavery and involuntary servitude. The only exception was in cases of punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted. This exception allowed for the use of slave labor by the state in regard to prison inmates. What the 13th Amendment did not do was define the status of freed slaves. Were they citizens? Did they have the same rights as other Americans? In order to retain as much control as possible over former slaves, and to restore the political, economic, and social status quo, new southern state governments began enacting black codes. While these state laws gave freedmen certain legal rights, it also imposed strict race-based restrictions and made them second-class citizens in the South. Again. Congress tried to fix this problem of discrimination by passing the Freedmen's Bureau Act and the Civil Rights Act of 1866. President Andrew Johnson vetoed both bills, but Congress overrode his veto. Then, when Johnson demonstrated his unwillingness to enforce the Civil Rights Act, Congress passed the 14th Amendment in 1866, making it part of the Constitution. The 14th Amendment, has 3 important parts. Anyone born in the United States is a citizen, and it was specifically aimed at African American citizenship. The government must provide all citizens with due process of law, meaning that everyone's legal rights must be respected. And the government must provide equal protection of the laws, making sure it treats all citizens the same, regardless of race. The Supreme Court will eventually use the amendment to make the Bill of Rights apply to the states. It's called incorporation. The 14th Amendment, called by some the Civil Rights Amendment, was a huge step towards equality for African Americans and eventually for all minority groups in the United States. But it was not completely enforced after ratification, leading to the need for a civil rights movement in the 1950s and 60s. It's still an important amendment today, and it is easily the most important change to the Constitution since the Bill of Rights. Now, voting rights for African Americans remained a sticky point despite ratification of the 14th Amendment. Former Confederates and President Johnson did not want African Americans to vote in the South, and black men generally did not have voting rights in most northern states. Congress therefore passed the 15th Amendment in 1869, ratified in 1870. According to the amendment, the right to vote could not be denied on the basis of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. In other words, African American men had the right to vote in every state, but the amendment did fail to address gender. The 15th Amendment, however, did not stop newly admitted southern states from placing legal conditions on voting, such as literacy tests and poll taxes. These state laws effectively deprived the very people the amendment targeted from political participation. Future amendments and civil rights acts would resolve those issues, but not for almost a century. The Reconstruction Amendments attempted to swiftly address the issues that came with Confederate defeat in 1865. Although loopholes were used to circumvent the intent of the amendments, they helped forge an American society based on